Morning, Dante.
Good morning, Greg. How you doing today?
Well, doing great. Although, honestly, since you left, this place is it's turned into an absolute dumpster fire. Could you come back?
No, and that's not true. I was listening yesterday morning, riveting radio with the interview with Bill. It's my favorite time of the year.
I mean, he honestly was a little harsh with Courtney, don't you think, Dante? I'm sure has he ever spoken to you like that?
Are you kidding? She's just part of the coaching staff now, boy. We all got that treatment. And I would tell you this, Courtney. You need to keep going straight Tom Petty on him and don't back down.
Thank you. I'm trying my hardest. I did.
Don't back down. Just hammer him. That's what you got to do.
It did cross my mind to just sit back and let the boys take the rest of the interview. And I said, you know what? No, I've got another one, sir.
Keep firing those bullets. Believe me.
I mean, so you were listening to Bill yesterday, and you heard the question was asked, and then it was asked again with regard to going into that game, and the game plan being both quarterbacks sharing action. Do you believe that was the case when it came to Bill's plan?
Well, I've heard him say on numerous times over the last 2 days that it was part of the plan, and that we've taken that approach on many occasions at all positions. We've never taken it at quarterback before, as has been said multiple times. But I'm not surprised that he would have said something like that. And this has been said ad nauseum, that it was probably the worst time to pull him out after the interception, and then of course the fans' reaction prior to all that with the Zappe chant and all the rest. So, I mean, that's a tough deal for any young guy, and especially, a guy that's supposed to be the starting quarterback and maybe a face of the franchise. That was tough, man.
We've been talking about this a little bit, but by keeping the quarterback competition alive via not saying anything publicly one way or the other, is Bill doing damage to both of those guys when it comes to the mental part of it?
Well, I don't think it's obviously it's much easier if you have a starter and you have a backup. And a week ago, we had the Patriots had a very, very viable backup in Bailey Zappe, who had performed very well. And, and so it looked like to me everything was really going to be good going forward. Once Matt got on the field, then you have a guy that you could go to who you really, had seen what he can do. And I'm not saying that he's checked all the boxes, Zappe, as far as, prior to the other night. But I do think that, you look at him and say, okay, this guy's got a future, and that's pretty good. So, I think it is. I think it's a tough situation right now. I would like to see them say, hey, this guy is starting, and whoever that may be, it is, and we're playing him, and this is how we're going. And I think, I don't think this is a tryout time, man. They got a big game against the Jets on Sunday. They need to win that game, and I think you got to go with the guy you feel gives you the best chance of winning this game, and we'll see how that goes.
And do you still feel like that's Mac Jones?
I do.
Yeah,
I really do.
Same.
I was honestly very surprised by the way he was moving around, and especially the first time when he, the parting of the Red Sea in the middle of the pocket the other night, and he ran for 16 yards and slid. And I said, well, damn, he didn't look like his ankle's bothering him. So, I think what was bothering him was the timing in the game, and you get 3 penalties in your first 2 series that knocks you out any chance of trying to be consistent, and then of course really a bad choice by him of throwing that ball up, and when he should have just thrown it into the stands. So I personally wanted so much better for him, and because I think he's really a really talented guy, and I still believe that. I heard him yesterday afternoon. That's the unfortunate thing about being retired. Let's fire them both, get both quarterbacks out of here and get somebody new. Good luck, man. It's hard.
Dante, some of the guys had said that they really weren't sure who was playing. They were shocked that, Zappe came in. In your time, have you ever been in a situation where, going through the week, both guys were getting reps, and all the way up until game time, you guys as a coaching staff didn't know which direction you were going to go in? Is that possible, or generally do you?
It never happened, Jermaine.
Right.
That never happened in our situation. We were always kept abreast of what was going, who we were going to start and who was going to get the reps, and whoever got the reps was going to play. You could say that. Remember together when 2001, the week before the Super Bowl against the Rams, Tom was limping around, and Drew had performed very well against the Steelers in the championship game, but we knew we were going with Tom, and even though he was kind of hobbled a little bit, but we knew we were going with him, and that was that. And it's a lot easier that way than the other way.
Dante, when you look at the other guys on the team, whether it's Jacoby Myers or Ramondre Stevenson, a few others, all made comments after the game that they seemed like they were down on their luck when it came to how Mac was treated, both by the fans and the coaching staff. What happens if you find yourself in a locker room that's now split between two guys, especially on a short week?
Well, I think that can happen at any time, but I don't sense that the locker room is going to be split on a quarterback decision. I think what's going to be really important is, and the practice today is, this is going to be the starter. This is the guy we're going to. They're both healthy, and let's just make a decision and ride it hard, and so that there is no doubt. And then look at players can like who they want and all the rest of it, but we all saw the other night. These guys are as human as all the rest of us, and they have their good times and they have their not so good times, and hopefully the key to it all is to get out of whatever funk either one of them's in, whoever they choose, and to get rolling and to have a really, really good positive game against a team that's 5-2 on Sunday.
Let me ask you this, Doctor: is the patient that is Isaiah Wynn savable?
I think I absolutely think he is, and he's in the twilight zone right now. I heard he was a healthy scratch, and and whatever that means. And so, I like the kid personally. I had a big a say as him coming here as anyone did, and because I really like the person, and I still like the person. I haven't changed my mind on that. And I wish nothing but the best for him, and it doesn't look like the way things are going, it's going to go very well for him here, and wherever he ends up, whatever happens, I hope it's in his best interest and he gets the most out of his career, because I like the guy. I'm not changing my stance on that.
Dante, I don't know how focused you were in watching both quarterbacks and the play calls, because there's been this big, I don't want to say controversy, but this big issue of Mac's play calling is different than Bailey Zappe's play calling. Based on what you've been able to see, does it look like the play calling changes for either one of them, or is it the same play calling for both of them?
Well, I would like to think it'd be the same for both of them, but to your point, they started out in gun, and well, is that normal? Would it have been normal for Bailey? I don't know. It didn't seem like it was, but maybe they just felt like they wanted to open up the formations and get in gun and start the game that way. And that's what you do. You try to script your best plays and within the context of what the quarterback who's playing does best. And maybe that's what the whole deal was the other night when they started out in shotgun and doing the things they were doing with Mac. So I don't know. Does it change? Yeah, it probably does, Wiggs, depending on what they think the guy can do best.
Oh, Greg's going to be very excited about this.
Dante says.
Yep. Well, I saw that Dante said really nice things about Trent Brown recently. He had 4 penalties, I believe, going into halftime. What do you see that's going on there with him?
He had 2 false starts and a holding penalty. I think he got a little bit. Shell shock shouldn't be the word because he's been so experienced. But Robert Quinn is really, really a fast guy off the edge, and I think he might have got a little bit surprised by, oh my God, look at this, and he did. He ran by him a couple of times, and I think the 2 things about Trent, he's so big and he's so long with his arms. All he needs, when he gets out of his stance and just sticks those things out there and gives the guy a shove, it's usually over for the guy. And he arrives at those points at times, or he goes back to bad habits. But I think the guy's awful talented, and I think he can play that. I know he can play over there, and he can play there against good players because we've all seen him do it. So it was disappointing to start the game that way for him, and I love the kid, and I wish nothing but the best for him. So, no one wants to start and play that way. You all know that.
Dante, we talked at length about Belichick's comments about competition at every position, including the quarterback position. As a member of his staff for the better part of 20 years, was there ever competition that he welcomed from his other coaches towards him? In other words, could you say you're wrong, Bill, or was he a guy? It seems like now the Dante Scarnecchias and the McDaniels are gone, and he's replaced them with rubber stamps. Would you agree with that?
I wouldn't agree. I wouldn't even respond to what you just said. But to the first question you asked is, will he listen to what people say? Absolutely. And I will tell you this too: if he's wrong, he'll be the first guy to admit that he was wrong. And believe me, I've been in plenty of sessions with him and in the staff situations and whatnot where he would just plainly just say, "Hey, I effed that up, fellas. That's my fault." Believe me, he's willing to take it on his shoulders because he knows the buck stops there. And we all make mistakes, and he'll be the first guy to tell you he makes plenty of them. So, I think that whatever, there's a lot of criticism being heaped on him and all the rest of it, and maybe some of it's deserved. I don't know. We all wish things were a lot different the other night. I think that's the thing. We're all just bitter about it. So hopefully, they'll get things the way it needs to, that they all want it, and arrive at the best way for them to win on Sunday.
But do you think, Dante, that you said that the quarterback is really hard, that you heard yesterday that, you want to lose these guys, good luck replacing them. It just appears through the different things we've understood from Bill Belichick that with Brady's departure, he thought he could win with a reasonable facsimile of the quarterback. Like, it doesn't seem to me from afar that he understands or accepts the magnitude that the quarterback position has now occupied within the NFL.
I think he knows that to win in this league, you have to have the best guy that you can possibly get pulling the trigger in this league. And I think that is borne out every year, almost every year, with whoever ends up winning the Super Bowl championship. You just look at them historically. You could come up with a handful of guys that you would say, aren't really good quarterbacks or plainly game managers and that benefit from a great defense and all the rest of those things. But when it all comes down, you have to have a guy at that position that can make plays and make big time plays and help you win games when it counts the most. And I think that's just an absolute prerequisite. And that's the good news. The bad news is those guys aren't easy to find.
Dante Scarnecchia is our guest. You brought up the fans earlier, knowing them as you did for 20 years. Was it surprising to you that they went Bailey chant as early as they did the other night?
It wasn't surprising to me, and I honestly believe this. This is no deference to women. This is a big boy league, and if your skin is thin, you're going to have a hard time. Hey, I've been in that stadium. Wiggy's been in that stadium. If things aren't going bad, they're going to let you know about it because they paid $1 jillion to park, $1 jillion to get in that seat, and $1 jillion to eat. And that allows them certain privileges. And whatever those privileges are, they're going to use them. And if it means, giving you hell at any time of the game as you sit on the sideline because you're not playing worth a damn. Or, the other night they started. They were on that deal fast with that chant, and that was, I sat there and listened to it on Monday night, and I said, "Oh man, this is hard. This is a hard thing for him."
Yeah.
And that's the bad news. The good news is they're playing in New York, so I don't think there are going to be many Bailey chants there. But hell, those people, you never know. They may start doing it anyways if Mac's out there playing. It's crazier than hell.
Well, they had to pay for your salary, Dante, with those tickets. And you were making the big bucks.
Yeah, my salary. You're right. Go ahead, move on.
Actually, last week I think Volan was really affected by the Dante chants. I don't know if did that happen on Wednesday,
I
Curtis?
doubt it.
It's Dante Wednesdays
I
going
think
forward.
Ben was in the middle of his own ice storm last week, so I'll let that go. Never mind.
Never mind.
Hey, Dante, before you go, do you think that this continues at least for this week against the Jets, where it potentially we'll see two quarterbacks, or do you think they just make a decision and go with one guy?
I think they make a decision and go with one guy. I really do. I think it's the best way to go, and get them out there and give them all the support you can. And I hope it starts today at practice, and that this is how it's going to be, and we're rolling. And it's a lot easier when you do it that way than you just let it linger and let it go into the weekend and what's going on around here. That's the one thing, this as well as anybody, and you all know this as well as anybody. Last thing you want is indecision and what's going on here, what the hell are we doing? That's no good in anyone's business. So I hope the sooner the better, and I suspect that it will come out whatever way they choose between whatever quarterback. I think they'll rubber stamp it and give that guy, full sway and let it go.
Well, Dante, as always, when it comes to great football minds, you and I are simpatico this morning. So
Okay.
I always enjoy having you on the program. Obviously, my apologies to Wiggy because he shot down most of what he said this morning, and to Chris Curtis. Dante, thank you so much.
Okay, you guys take care. Good talking to you.
All right,
Bye.
we'll talk to you soon. That's Dante said.